Thunder are championship or bust. They got the two biggest role players that were available on the market in Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein are two of the best ones. I think Mikal is up there as well. They have championship aspirations. You know, last year, people didn't even think they were going to make it into the play-in tournament, and they made it all the way to the first seed in the stacked Western Conference and to the second round where they lost to the eventual Western Conference champion Dallas Mavericks. So I am buying this stock from OKC, but again, the burden of expectation, how do you respond? Because now you're expected to be the number one seed. You're expected to make it to the championship team. You've also put, like the Knicks, all your chips in the center of the table. You are going full board. You have no salary cap space. You're going to have to pay Jalen Williams. You're going to have to pay Chet Holmgren. Shea's Supermax is going to get in. This team is going to get very expensive, very fast. So now's your window to win with a very loaded team, because you're not going to be able to re-sign Isaiah Hartenstein in 2 years when you have your team option. You may have to decide, well, we can either do Jalen Williams or we can do Chet, but we can't do both. So there's going to be a lot of tough decisions coming up from Sam Presti. He has a ton of draft capital to make moves and to get out of these contracts. But yeah, it's this year or bust for OKC for sure. They need to make a championship run this year, because then that leads it all to next year. And I'm talking about 2025, 2026. And if you have a chance to win a championship, you do it now. The Sixers, I have them in close, but maybe next year. Again, they have completely retooled their roster. It's a brand new roster from top to bottom. I think Embiid, Oubre, and Maxey are the only ones that are really from last year. It's going to be hard to situate everybody in that they're getting. They have a better bench than the Knicks do. I will give them that. Paul George is not a playoff performer. He's kind of shrunk, and he will have to deal with OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges in the playoffs, so good luck with that. Embiid, Mitchell Robinson, if he's healthy, can compete with him. Karl Anthony Towns will get the business on one end, but will give Joel Embiid the business on the other end, and Joel will not be able to help out on defensive rotations because of the 5-out that Karl Anthony Towns provides. So you're going to be able to pull him away from the basket. So how do they counter the Knicks squad? It's going to be really tough for them, and especially with Embiid's knee issues, I don't know that he's going to be able to take it in a playoff series, but we will see. So that's why I think they need a year to gel together. They need to run it back one more year. The Knicks team is, I think, only really adding Mikal and Karl Anthony Towns. However, those guys have been under Tibbs' system before, so it's a little bit different. Paul George has never played for Nick Nurse. He's never played with a dominant big before. And he's also, I'm trying to think if he's played with an explosive point guard. Maybe Russell Westbrook in OKC you can consider, but we'll see. But yeah, I think they need a year to gel. I think that with the Sixers is what I'm thinking. Memphis Grizzlies are getting too much hype. They're saying playoff teams. I don't trust Ja. I don't trust Ja. I think they're probably either here or here, either a playoff team or a play-in team. But I'm going to leave them in as a play-in team for now. I'm not overly excited with Zach Edey at the center. You're depending on a rookie center. You have to reintegrate Ja Morant after last year. He's also injury-prone, and he's short a few brain cells with his stupidity on social media. So will he get suspended again? And the next suspension may be all season long. So do I really trust him? I've already saw some pictures from Media Day, and he looked like a knucklehead. So I don't know. Derrick Rose retired. You lost a few other veteran players. I'm just not bullish on them. I think they're getting overhyped, but I wouldn't be shocked if they're a top 6 team. But I'm going to put them right now for safety to be as a play-in team. The Wizards, I'm not going to put them... you know what? Yeah, they're going for Cooper Flag. They are going for it, and they may be showcasing Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole to flip them. Jordan Poole will probably be a difficult contract to trade unless he goes off. I really like Jordan Poole's game. I hope that he got the punch out of his head, because it just seems psychologically he was damaged from that embarrassment because we've all gotten into fights when we were younger, but a lot of us have not been put on video camera to relive it over and over and over again, especially in this day and age with social media. So hopefully he went to a sports therapist, or he's just better mentally because it's been a year. But if he's right and he plays well, they will get trade calls. I mean, think about the Lakers, the Warriors. Well, not the Warriors. Maybe the Clippers. I think Jordan Poole on the Clippers would be interesting. So there's a lot of potential. You're going to have to give up draft picks, and the Wizards want to stock their picks. They were trying to trade Kyle Kuzma last year. If anybody would have taken Jordan Poole, they would have traded him as well. They signed Valanciunas as a human trade exception. That's a new term. People are signing players because they know that they can flip them in December. And Valanciunas is not going to stay there. He's a vet center. The Knicks have been eyeing veteran centers, so they may trade for him in December, so we'll see with that. But the Wizards are all in for Cooper Flagg. They are also going to try to acquire more draft picks for this year, so we'll see what happens. The Mavericks are definitely all in. They pushed all their chips in. They went and got Quentin Grimes for Tim Hardaway Jr. They still have Daniel Gafford on the team. Kyrie Irving is on the team. They got Kleba is back. God, I'm getting brain farts. So Klay Thompson is the big addition. I think he's kind of washed. I think he's gonna end up going to the bench probably a month into the season. Jason Kidd doesn't play that. But literally all he has to do is not be a traffic cone on defense and hit open shots. He doesn't have to carry anything. There's no pressure on him. The pressure's on Luka and Kyrie, so this should be a decent year for Klay if his mind is right. He seemed like he was also in a toxic situation in Golden State. I kind of noticed that about Golden State. Kevin Durant left because of the toxic environment. Klay Thompson left. Jordan Poole forced his way out. It seems to be they're losing their shine, their aura. And it's probably the stench of Draymond, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, nobody else. They still got Dante Exum, Jaden Hardy. So they have a really stacked roster, and they want to repeat. They want to finish what they weren't able to finish last year against Boston. They were pretty dismantled by Boston. Dallas had no answer for them. So they want revenge. And even Jason Tatum joked, I think it was on Jimmy Kimmel, that he sees them going back against Dallas as a rematch. That would be devastating to me as a Knicks fan, but that would be very interesting. But we'll see. But Dallas is definitely thinking championship all the way. The Hornets, they are in acquisition mode. They are getting draft picks. So they got LaMelo back from injury. They got Miles Bridges, who just signed an extension. They got Seth Curry. They have Brandon Miller, the young stud, small forward. Josh Green from the Mavericks in that trade for, he came in the PJ Washington trade, right? They got Grant Williams still. Nick Richards, who's been a hot commodity as a center that everybody wants. He's on a low value contract, and he's been outperforming his contract. Mark Williams, very good young center. Trey Mann they got from OKC, who played really well when he got over there. Cody Martin, the lesser of the Martin twins. So, yeah, they have a team. Listen, they have a team that they need to lose. They shouldn't be focusing on trying to get into the play-in or anything else. They were tough when they were all healthy in a sense at home, but they cannot win road games and they cannot win close games because LaMelo is not that type of player that's going to bring you home wins. He's going to make the crowd go ooh and ah. He's going to get some buzzy highlights on YouTube, but he's not going to lead you to winning. So, yeah. Spurs are a play-in team for sure. I think they were the scariest team in the second half of the year last year. Wemby was playing like a video game. That loss that the Nuggets lost to the Spurs, and Wemby had, I think, something like 40 and 30 or some crazy Wilt Chamberlain numbers, and Joker had crazy numbers in that game, cost them the first seed, and how different it would have been if they didn't run into Minnesota in the second round. Because I think if they would have gotten to the conference finals, they would have beaten them. And talking about the Nuggets beating the T-Wolves. So the Spurs are on the come up. They got Chris Paul, they got Harrison Barnes, they got veteran leadership. And Wemby with actual point guards that know what they're doing is going to be a problem for the NBA. and I wouldn't be shocked if Wemby was in an MVP conversation, depending on how high up the ladder they go. You know, if they're a playoff team, they're like a top 4 seed or some crazy number, and he's putting, you know, crazy Wilt numbers with his go-go gadget arms, then, you know, who knows where they can go. Like, even at this young infancy of Wemby, he's a killer. Saw him in the Olympics. He doesn't like to lose. He doesn't like people that are not on his team. He's an old school, he's an old soul, like an old NBA player that just wants to rip your heart out and watch it beat on the floor. Absolutely love Wemby. Orlando Magic are a definite playoff team. They are going to be, you know, 5 or 6, wherever they're down there. They're actually a really terrifying team when you go against them in the playoffs, because you're going to leave and you're going to have to be in the ice tub every night. They hit you like with a bag of nickels. Like, they are a physical team. They've punked the Knicks, and the Knicks are always known as a defensive team because of Tibbs. But the Magic have punked us a few times. Paolo Banchero, Cole Anthony, the Wagner brothers, Jonathan Isaac. Now they've added KCP, some veteran shooting on the outside. And that was their biggest problem that they had with Cleveland, is they didn't have shooters. But now you put KCP with championship experience, and I'm expecting big things from the Magic. And the big thing is that they lost in the first round last year. They're going to lose in the first round this year as well. I don't see them. I think the Magic could beat like the Bucks in the first round, or even Philly. Like, maybe, like, especially if Embiid is out, like as a 4-5 matchup. I think the Magic have a potential to go into the second round this year, but we'll see. But I think as of right now, I'm going to keep them as a first round exit. But I really like the trajectory that the Magic are going in. Phoenix Suns are a playoff team. They got embarrassed by the T-Wolves last year. Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. It's just a weird combination. You have 2 shooting guards and kind of like 2 small forwards in a way. So it's just not a good look. So Tyus Jones, who has the best assist to turnover ratio, is joining them. They got a natural point guard. They got a good steal in Ryan Dunn, who is a defensive demon. He just can't shoot, so he reminds me a lot of Rondo. Monte Morris is there. Grayson Allen, who led the league in 3-point shooting last year. Bol Bol is another freak athlete. Yusuf Nurkic, Mason Plumlee. So they got a bruising center tandem. Okogie's back. All right, Okogie was there last year. Thaddeus Young, Damian Lee. All right, so yeah, I mean, I think playoff team is fair. I think they're going to be in the first round as a playoff team, and they're going to lose in the first round. Again, I don't see them getting past the first round. But the Suns are weird. I actually think that they could be anywhere from down here to, let's say, right here. I don't think they're up here yet, but they could be in any of these 3 brackets, and I wouldn't flinch. I wouldn't say, well, you're completely wrong. I think the Phoenix Suns are that volatile that we don't know what we're going to get out of them, and are they going to stay healthy? Are they going to be able to, like, you know, is Durant, especially Bradley Beal, who's a walking infirmary unit, making $55 million a year? God, I want to do his job. Would be very interesting, but I don't know. We'll see. I just think they're gonna lose in the first round again. The Miami Heat are, you know what? I just don't like the Miami Heat. I'm going to say that they're outside of the play-in. I'm just not a fan of what they've done. They've kind of just idled. It's kind of like tepid water, you know? Like, I'm not impressed with anything they're doing. Jimmy Butler and his clown antics have stopped finally. Pat Riley put an end to that. He's in a contract year, so maybe he plays well. Terry Rozier, like, is he staying there? Tyler Hero, Bam. Like, I'm just not impressed with anything Miami's doing. They got Alec Burks, which is a nice little get off the bench. Should be interesting, but yeah, I think this is it for Miami. I think Jimmy's gone. I don't know. I just don't see them doing anything. I don't even see them as a play-in team. I just think there's better options. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe they're a play-in team. Maybe I can argue that they're a play-in team, but it's just, I don't know. I'm just not impressed. The Clippers, I am going to put as a I'm also going to put them as a play-in option. I know there's a lot of play-in options. I mean that they're going to be competitive for play-in tournament, and they can fall down to the play-in or they can get up to the playoffs. The Clippers are obviously lost Paul George, but they have other really good players, role players that can step up. You have a Norman Powell, who I think, let's say he averaged 10 points last year. I think he can give them 5 extra points. They lost Russell Westbrook and that weird energy. So now maybe their vibe is better. Maybe it's a miracle year and Kawhi plays 60 games. Maybe it's a miracle year and James Harden shows that he's not washed. He has like one good year left in him, and this is the year. So I think with the Clippers, everything has to break right. Everything has to break right. And maybe they can get in as a playoff team. And then in the West, they're going to lose in the first round. They're just not winning, because you can clamp down Harden in the playoffs, whether he was great in the regular season or not. He's never been a playoff performer. Kawhi has. But I just don't think that knee's gonna last. I just don't think it's gonna last. So I don't know. If LA Clippers were a stock, I would be selling it. The Hawks are gonna compete outside of the play-in. They're gonna just germinate around there. Maybe they'll drop down to the Cooper Flag area. But you know, Trae Young, when he's by himself, plays better. There's no DeJounte Murray there anymore. They've kind of built the team around him because there really is no other options. He doesn't have value. He's an undersized, toxic type player that just rubs people. He'll average 11 assists and people think he's selfish. So I don't know where that comes from. There's some internal dynamics that are going on that, you know, the average fan is not aware of. But he definitely has a weird vibe around the NBA. But, you know, nobody wanted to trade for him, and they were practically giving him away. And nobody wanted to trade for this guy. And this is a guy that'll average 26, 20. He'll average Steph Curry numbers. Like, he plays like Steph Curry. And it's just, it's the weirdest thing. It's just he can't win because he cannot defend. They need to put him in a zone system. I think him in Miami would be amazing because Eric Spoelstra is very creative with shit defenders that he hides in random zone packages. So maybe a Miami would be a good option for him. And I think maybe that'd be a blessing for both sides. You give away Jimmy and you let him go at the end of the year with a draft pick, and Miami gets Trae Young. That would potentially be a nice little addition with him and Bam, but we'll see. But as of right now, Atlanta Hawks are not tanking, but they're not going anything farther than outside the play. Golden State Warriors, I mean, I feel like there's not a lot of playoff teams, so I am going to put them here. I do think their additions, Kyle Anderson, and I think, listen, Kyle Anderson signing screams that they're going to move Draymond because they're the same player. They can barely shoot, and they're good passing bigs that defend. So it feels like it's the same person. So why would you have the same person? Maybe they didn't have good minutes without Draymond. Maybe they're worried that Draymond's gonna get suspended again. Maybe they're planning to trade him. They already got rid of Klay Thompson, so that core is broken up. So maybe just build around Steph. They got Buddy Hield, who's gonna replace the shooting of Klay Thompson. He's also a traffic cone on defense, so they're not gonna miss him there on that end. Jonathan Kuminga, like, it's put up or shut up time. He has to get his shot down. He has to get a consistent 3-point mid-range shot, become a 3-level scorer. Right now, he's a 1-level scorer that uses his athleticism to get to the paint. So what are you going to be? So if he wants to be the guy that takes the mantle once Steph retires, then be the guy, step up. And I don't think we've seen that with Jonathan Kuminga yet, and I think the potential is there. You know, God rest Kobe's soul, but I would love Kobe and Jonathan Kuminga to, you know, that would have been a great marriage in terms of showing you what it takes to win and how to beat the best. But we'll see with Kuminga. If Kuminga has a great year, then the Warriors are a playoff team. And that's it. They won't get further than that. But if Kuminga is not doing well, then they're down here. So they need him to play well. You know, Trace Jackson is a good lob threat. They have other little options. They signed Melton from the Sixers, who's a really good shooter and defender. So they have pieces that they can compete there. But you could flip Warriors and Clippers, and that's fine with me. You know, like I'm not tripping over that. I think that'll work. Let me actually see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. Yeah, just give or take. So I'm going to put the Warriors as a slight edge over the Clippers for right now. But we'll see. I could be wrong. And again, the Clippers are health dependent. I don't think the Warriors are that concerned with health, and they're pretty deep. Last is the Pacers. They are a playoff team. They were a playoff team last year. They just score a lot of buckets. And if you slip, you turn over the ball, you're having a bad night, and that arena's ruckus, they're going to get out in the break and they're going to score. So you got to play really disciplined against them. They are a really tough team to defend. There's a lot of off-cut movements. Tyrese Halliburton, Knicks fans can give him all the shit that they want, but he is a cheat code. His metrics are through the roof. He shoots the three incredible. This team, the plus-minus when he plays, in terms of the possession dribbles and getting the possession game, winning the possession game, he does better than anybody else. He breaks defenses. He has logo 3 ability. So Halliburton's right there. Miles Turner. What are they going to do with Miles Turner? He's a free agent. Are they going to be able to re-sign him? He is another 5 that can spread the floor, so you definitely want him in the mix. So we'll see what they do. I'm not sure. Mathurin is back. He was injured at the end of last year, so that's big. But they're definitely going to be a playoff team. And can they make another run? They kind of remind me of the Atlanta Hawks when they made that run. I think it was during the COVID year or the year before COVID, where Ice Trae, shut up Madison Square Garden. I think they're that kind of team. They may have a fall here, but we'll see. And Rick Carlisle tends to burn teams out. We'll see what happens with that. And the last team, the Kings. We're going to put them as a play-in team. Yeah, they got DeMar DeRozan. Wow, we have a lot of play-in teams. They have play-in potential. I think maybe looking outside this. But anyway, the Kings added DeRozan. It's a weird fit. I don't think they needed another scorer, but they seem to want to add somebody for the sake of adding them. I don't know what the Kings are. The Kings, to me, if they make it to the playoffs, they're going to get swept in the first round. They can't win multiple rounds. The team is just not designed right. They're going to have to move somebody. Maybe DeRozan is another human trade exception and you move him at some point. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the Kings, but they're good enough definitely to make it into the play-in. But yeah, if I'm looking at this, if there's anything else I want to change, let me see. So these, I guess, are my conference finalists that I'm believing is going to happen. So this is the same one from last year, and this is the one, if there was an injury, would have happened this year, but the Pacers were there. And this is what happened in the regular season. Anything can happen. Any team can kind of shoot up if they have a great year, if one of these teams has injury issues or anything else. So I think these are the conference finalists. These are going to make it to the second round. So the Bucks and the Sixers with the Knicks and the Celtics. I think this was the same thing from last year. So the West is repeating in my mind as last year. I mean, the way I see it. Cavs, Magic, same type of feel. Is anybody making a jump? I don't have anybody making a jump. Wow. Except for obviously the Knicks. But I think the Knicks were in this conversation last year. But yeah, this is pretty close to what last year was. If I had to pick one surprise, let me see if I can pick one random surprise. All right, if I had to pick one random surprise, I would have Houston pushing it to the second round, I guess. It's hard. I don't know. I think everything looks right. I'm trying to think of anybody. Like, obviously, the Heat have made their runs as an 8th seed before, as a play-in team. You never count the Heat down. The Raptors have a decent roster, but they're very young, very inexperienced. Their head coach is inexperienced. He may be gone after this year. Who knows? Memphis. Okay, Memphis, I think, is an argument because they were the 2nd seed before Ja did all. So if Ja controls himself, if they stay healthy, they had the worst injury season in the NBA, and I don't know how long, I don't know how many games they missed. But Memphis, if everything goes right, Memphis could be up here. Memphis could be up here in the consideration, and they could bump one of these teams. So that's the one team I'll say has the potential to rise the most, potentially. But did I have them as a playoff team? Let's make it even. I'll put them as a playoff team. They're definitely a playoff team. They're not a play-in team anymore. So I think that's it. That's the tiers. If there are any other trades or anything else crazy happens, I will do an updated tiers, but this is my preseason training camp tiers list. We'll reassess maybe at the All-Star break or during the Christmas games. I don't know, but this is what we're looking at right now. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know who's going to get injured. I don't know what rookie's going to be a superstar that we didn't think that was going to be a superstar. What's going to happen? Who's going to demand a trade? NBA season is almost upon us. I hope you're excited because I'm bald. I'm balding. Or something. I don't know. I sounded like that guy from the car commercial. Anyway, I will see you guys on the next one.